Welcome to Starlight Sci-Fi, where imagination takes flight among the stars. If you love compelling science fiction stories and the boundless thrill of space exploration, you're in the right place. Buckle up for another journey into the extraordinary. When the desperate SOS echoed across the galaxy, few knew that answering it would unleash humanity, the unstoppable Deathworlder fleet, on an unsuspecting universe. The question wasn't whether they would win. It was whether anyone would survive their arrival. The galaxy, vast and indifferent, has a way of burying secrets in its endless expanse. One of these secrets began as a faint pulse of energy traveling through the cosmic void. Its rhythm steady yet weak, like the heartbeat of a dying star. It was an SOS, a desperate cry for help from a forgotten corner of the universe. The signal originated from the Tarvik sector, an unremarkable region light years from any major trade routes. Once home to thriving civilizations, the sector had long since fallen into obscurity after centuries of wars, economic collapses, and environmental ruin. Few dared to venture there anymore. It was a graveyard of broken worlds and abandoned dreams, and for most, the Tarvik sector was better left alone. The SOS was first detected by an automated listening post stationed along the sector's periphery. Ancient and barely operational, the post transmitted the signal to the Galactic Council's central network before succumbing to system failure. What little data it managed to forward painted an intriguing picture. The signal came from a derelict space station orbiting the desolate planet Tarvos 9. The station structure was unlike anything in the known galactic archives, its design incomprehensibly alien, with fractal patterns and spiraling geometries that seemed to shift in ways the sensors couldn't fully capture. It was old, impossibly old, and yet it still functioned, sending out its plea for help across the light years. When the Galactic Council received the transmission, their initial response was hesitation. Ancient ruins like these were often more trouble than they were worth. History had taught them that long-forgotten technologies could be as dangerous as they were valuable. Still, the encrypted data embedded in the signal hinted at something extraordinary, a fragment of history, a remnant of a species long extinct. The council debated whether to investigate. The prospect of uncovering something significant was tantalizing, but the risks were high. The Tarvik sector was a haven for scavengers, pirates, and worse, and if the signal truly originated from an advanced species, there was no telling what kind of danger their technology might unleash. As the council stalled, another species intercepted the signal, one that didn't deliberate or hesitate. Humanity had heard the call. Earth was a death world by galactic classification, a place where life evolved against the odds. Its gravity was heavy, its weather merciless, and its ecosystems a web of predators and prey locked in constant struggle. The beings that emerged from such an environment were naturally resilient, resourceful, and unyielding. Humanity had built a reputation for thriving where others faltered, for finding opportunity in chaos. To the Galactic Council, the humans' involvement was both a relief and a source of dread. If anyone could reach the source of the signal and uncover its mysteries, it was them. But humanity didn't do anything quietly. When they moved decisively, and the galaxy braced itself. For humanity, the SOS wasn't just a cry for help, it was a challenge. And humanity never ignored a challenge. Humanity had long been an enigma to the galaxy. They were late arrivals on the interstellar stage, only achieving faster than light travel a few centuries earlier. Yet, in that short time, they had reshaped the galactic order with unsettling efficiency. Known as Deathworlders, they came from a planet that defied every expectation of habitability. Earth was a crucible of extremes, where life clawed its way into existence through fire, ice, and chaos. The beings who survived such an environment were built for challenges, and when they ventured into the stars, they brought that same relentless spirit with them. When the SOS from the Tarvik sector reached Earth's unified fleet, there was no debate, no hesitation. Humanity answered the call with the force of inevitability. Within hours, encrypted data from the signal was analyzed and deciphered. The message was clear. The source wasn't just a derelict station, it was a treasure trove of lost knowledge. That alone was enough to warrant action. But the potential dangers hinted at in the signal's fragmented codes demanded a swift and overwhelming response. The fleet mobilized with surgical precision. Humanity's warships were not designed for diplomacy or trade, they were weapons of war. Forged in the fires of countless conflicts, each vessel was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. Black-hulled and massive, their angular design seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The sight of them alone could inspire awe or dread, depending on which side of their gun barrels one stood. At the head of the formation was the Indomitable, a ship so vast that its shadow could eclipse entire cities. It bristled with railguns, particle cannons, and missile systems capable of reducing moons to rubble. Its engines burned like captured stars, propelling the fleet toward the Tarvik sector at speeds other species deemed impossible. Humanity's technology was a constant source of debate among the galactic community. They developed at a breakneck pace, innovating solutions that defied conventional physics and rewriting the rules of what was possible. Their FT-led drives, for instance, didn't just fold space, they tore through it, leaving temporary scars in space-time that slowly healed. Their shields could withstand the energy output of collapsing stars, and their weapons didn't just destroy, they annihilated. As the fleet surged across the void, observers from other species monitored their progress with growing unease. The humans weren't broadcasting their intentions. Were they responding out of altruism, driven by some moral code? Or were they after the potential rewards hidden in the depths of the derelict station? No one knew for sure, but history suggested that humanity rarely acted without purpose. The fleet reached the edge of the Tarvik sector in record time, plunging into the region's dark, debris-laden expanse with the confidence of apex predators entering unfamiliar hunting grounds. Humanity didn't fear the unknown, they thrived in it. As the Deathworlder fleet moved closer to its destination, the galaxy held its collective breath. Whatever was waiting at the station, one thing was certain: humanity would meet it head-on, and nothing would stand in their way. The derelict station came into view as the Deathworlder fleet entered the Tarvik sector. Even at a distance, the structure was an ominous presence against the black canvas of space. Its silhouette was jagged and angular, like a piece of fractured obsidian frozen in time. Light from the distant star glinted off its surfaces, revealing an architecture that defied conventional design. Unlike the sleek, utilitarian structures of modern galactic civilizations, the station seemed alive in its complexity. Massive spires jutted out at impossible angles, their fractal patterns weaving into one another in ways that seemed to shift and ripple as they were observed. The hull was covered in an intricate lattice of carvings, runes, and patterns, many of which glowed faintly as if powered by an energy source that had persisted for millennia. Orbiting the dead planet Tarvos 9, the station appeared lifeless, but the faint SOS still emanated from its core. Its cry for help had reached across eons, a desperate message from a forgotten age. But the humans weren't the only ones who had won the call. As the fleet approached, sensors detected other ships already present. The Vakar Dominion, a predatory and opportunistic species, had beaten them to the site. Vakar scavenger ships hovered around the station like a swarm of flies circling a carcass. Their vessels, though numerous, were small and lightly armed, typical of their preference for quick raids over prolonged engagements. To the Vakar, the derelict station was an irresistible prize. Its ancient design hinted at the wealth of advanced technology it might contain, the kind of treasure that could elevate their species to power if properly exploited. But they had made a fatal miscalculation. They had underestimated who else might answer the SOS. Humanity's arrival was sudden and overwhelming. The Indomitable emerged from FTL first, its colossal form blotting out the stars as its escort ships spread into formation. The Vakar, realizing too late what they were facing, scrambled to respond. Their ships adjusted course, their engines flaring brightly as they attempted to retreat, but there was no escape. The human fleet struck without hesitation. Railgun rounds the size of skyscrapers tore through the Vakar vessels, splitting them open like ripe fruit. Particle beams lanced out with surgical precision, severing engines and detonating power cores. The vacuum of space lit up with the fireballs of annihilated ships, their debris scattering in every direction. In minutes, the Vakar presence was reduced to smoldering wreckage. Humanity's message was unmistakable. The station and whatever secrets it held now belonged to them. With the immediate threat neutralized, the humans turned their attention to the station itself. Scans revealed its complexity ran far deeper than its enigmatic exterior. The structure extended miles below its visible surface, its interior a labyrinth of chambers, corridors, and energy conduits that pulsed faintly with an otherworldly rhythm. The SOS was still transmitting, a beckoning signal from the station's heart. But the fleet's scans also revealed something more, a vast chamber deep within the structure, sealed behind layers of unbreachable material. It radiated energy signatures unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Whatever lay inside, it was ancient, powerful, and alive. And it was waiting. The derelict station loomed silently in orbit above Tarvos 9, its ancient geometry now fully mapped by the unified fleet's advanced scanners. Humanity had unlocked a partial understanding of its purpose, but the deeper mystery still eluded them. The source of the SOS was pinpointed, a massive vault buried at the station's core, sealed behind layers of incomprehensible technology. The energy readings coming from within were unstable, fluctuating wildly as if the station itself were alive and struggling to contain something vast and powerful. The vault wasn't just a room or a chamber, it was a construct of terrifying intricacy. Its walls were composed of materials that defied analysis, shifting between solid, liquid, and plasma states at the subatomic level. Strange glyphs ran across its surface, pulsing faintly in time with the station's rhythmic energy. Whatever the Zevra, the station's long-extinct creators, had sealed inside, they had done so with the clear intention that it would never be opened. Humanity's engineers, however, were not deterred. The fleet deployed its most advanced probes, each one equipped with cutting-edge AI and tools designed to interface with alien systems. They carefully navigated the station's maze of corridors and conduits, their data streams feeding directly into the Indomitable's command center. As the probes approached the vault, the station reacted. Power surged through dormant conduits, illuminating the walls with a cold, blue light. Systems that had been inactive for millennia suddenly flared to life, their purpose unclear but ominous. A low hum resonated throughout the station, growing in intensity as the probes drew closer. It was as if the station were waking up, and it did not seem pleased. What the probes uncovered sent a chill through the fleet. Embedded within the SOS signal was a secondary, hidden transmission, a warning. The Zevra had sealed the vault to contain not just a relic but a weapon. It was a self-replicating nanoplague, an intelligent swarm of microscopic machines capable of consuming matter and transforming it into more of itself. Entire civilizations had been erased by this entity, leaving behind only barren worlds and empty systems. The warning was clear. If the vault were disturbed, the containment systems might fail, releasing the Nanoplague once more. But it was already too late. The station's ancient mechanisms, corroded by time, began to falter. Power fluctuations rippled through the structure, and cracks began to form along the vault's surface. As the fleet analyzed the data, they realized the Vakar's earlier scavenging attempts had triggered the chain reaction. By breaching the station's outer defenses, they had destabilized its delicate systems, and now the containment field was failing. Suddenly, the vault emitted a piercing signal, a shriek of data that cascaded across every frequency. From the cracks in its surface, the Nanoplague began to stir. It emerged as a shimmering black fog, each particle glinting like a shard of obsidian. It moved with terrifying purpose, testing the air as if tasting freedom for the first time in eons. The unified fleet had come prepared for many scenarios, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. The Nanoplague, designed by a species far more advanced than humanity, was a threat that transcended even their formidable technology. The decision was immediate. The vault and the station itself had to be destroyed before the Nanoplague could fully awaken. Humanity had faced countless threats in its journey across the stars, but this time, the stakes weren't just their survival. If they failed, the Nanoplague would spread unchecked, consuming the galaxy one planet at a time. As the fleet prepared for battle, the Nanoplague began to expand, its shimmering tendrils reaching out into the station's corridors. The Zevra's greatest weapon had awoken, and humanity was now its target. The unified fleet sprang into action, its warships forming a defensive perimeter around the station as the situation inside grew increasingly dire. The Nanoplague, now fully awakened, moved through the station like a living tide. Its tendrils of shimmering black fog devoured everything they touched: metal, circuitry, and even the Zevra's ancient materials, transforming them into more of itself. Each particle was a piece of a collective intelligence, a swarm with a singular purpose: consume, replicate, spread. The fleet's initial response was to neutralize the threat at its source. Specialized assault drones were launched into the station, their designs optimized for high-risk containment scenarios. Each drone carried a payload of plasma charges and EMP devices intended to slow or destroy the Nanoplague. They weaved through the station's labyrinthine corridors, targeting the rapidly spreading swarm with precision strikes. But the Nanoplague was more than just a mindless force. It was adaptive. It analyzed the drones' attack patterns, dismantling their tactics in real time. EMP bursts that had initially disrupted the swarm began to lose effectiveness as the Nanoplague altered its structure, shielding itself against electromagnetic interference. The plasma charges fared no better. The swarm simply reformed after each explosion, its particles flowing back together like droplets of mercury. Outside the station, the fleet's commanders realized the situation was spiraling out of control. The containment effort was failing, and the Nanoplague was beginning to push beyond the station itself. Streams of the swarm leaked into the vacuum of space, forming tendrils that reached toward the surrounding ships. Automated turrets and point defense systems sprang to life, unleashing torrents of energy rounds and missiles. The fleet's weapons lit up the darkness with fiery brilliance, creating a temporary barrier that kept the Nanoplague at bay. But the swarm wasn't simply attacking blindly, it was learning. It analyzed the weapon's fire, adapting its movement patterns to avoid concentrated attacks. Tendrils of the Nanoplague began probing the fleet's shields, testing their frequencies for weaknesses. The energy signatures of the human vessels became a beacon for the swarm, drawing it outward with relentless determination. On board the Indomitable, the fleet's command center was a hive of activity. Tactical officers monitored the swarm's movements, their screens filled with chaotic data streams. Engineers worked frantically to devise new countermeasures, but the Nanoplague was evolving faster than they could respond. The decision was made to initiate the fleet's contingency protocols. The first stage of the protocol was to deploy the fleet's most destructive weapon, the Nova Lance, a superweapon capable of delivering a concentrated antimatter blast. The Nova Lance was designed for situations where precision wasn't an option and overwhelming force was the only answer. However, there was a catch. The Nova Lance could obliterate the station and the Nanoplague, but its energy output would destabilize the surrounding sector. Tarvos 9's already fragile orbit would collapse, turning the planet into a lifeless asteroid belt. Worse, the resulting shock wave might damage nearby systems, potentially wiping out colonies and ecosystems light years away. Even so, the alternative, allowing the Nanoplague to spread, was unthinkable. Humanity had faced extinction before, but this time it wasn't just their survival at stake. The swarm represented an existential threat to the galaxy itself. As the Indomitable prepared to fire, a new development sent ripples through the command center. Deep within the station, at the heart of the vault, an ancient failsafe began to activate. The Zevra, it seemed, had left behind one last safeguard, a system designed to destroy the Nanoplague should all else fail. But it wasn't a weapon, it was a message. The failsafe emitted a pulse of energy, broadcasting a pattern of symbols and frequencies across every known spectrum. The Nanoplague froze in place, its tendrils retracting as the swarm processed the signal. The fleet watched in stunned silence as the impossible happened. The Nanoplague hesitated. The failsafe was a command, encoded in the swarm's very design. The Zevra hadn't just built the Nanoplague, they had built a way to stop it. Now, it was up to humanity to decipher the message and use it before time ran out. The pulse from the ancient failsafe rippled through the station and beyond, a beacon of hope in the heart of chaos. For the first time since its awakening, the Nanoplague had paused. Its tendrils, which had been spreading with unstoppable purpose, froze mid-motion, shimmering faintly as if waiting for a command. Aboard the Indomitable, the fleet's command center erupted into activity. The failsafe signal wasn't just a simple broadcast, it was a dense stream of encoded data, a language far more complex than anything humanity had encountered. It was clear that the Zevra had embedded a means to control or neutralize the Nanoplague, but deciphering the code would take more than just computational power. It required understanding an alien mindset, a species whose technology operated on principles that defied human logic. The fleet's brightest minds worked tirelessly, analyzing the data stream. The signal wasn't just a command, it was a puzzle, layered with meaning and nuance. Patterns emerged and vanished, shifting like the fractal designs on the station's exterior. The Zevra had designed the failsafe as a test, one that required more than brute force to solve. It demanded adaptability, creativity, and an ability to think beyond the limits of conventional reasoning. As the clock ticked down, the Nanoplague began to stir again. The pause was temporary. The failsafe had only interrupted its processes, not stopped them. The shimmering fog that composed the swarm quivered, as if resisting the failsafe's influence. Humanity had bought itself a sliver of time, but the threat was far from neutralized. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Deep within the fleet's database was an archive of Earth's evolutionary history, a record of how life on a Deathworld had adapted to survive in the face of relentless adversity. The Zevra's code, though alien, echoed a principle deeply familiar to humanity: balance. The failsafe wasn't a weapon or a trap. It was a key, designed to restore equilibrium. The Nanoplague had been a tool, not a monster. The Zevra had created it to terraform worlds, breaking down barren landscapes and reshaping them into environments capable of supporting life. But something had gone wrong, perhaps a flaw in its programming or an event that corrupted its purpose. The failsafe was the Zevra's attempt to rewrite that purpose, to bring the swarm back under control. The key to unlocking the failsafe lay in mimicking the adaptive patterns of life itself. Humanity's engineers and scientists worked together, blending algorithms with biological principles. They created a counter-signal, one that resonated with the swarm's underlying code. It wasn't about overpowering the Nanoplague, but harmonizing with it, guiding it back to its original function. As the counter-signal was prepared, the Nanoplague began to push against the fleet's defenses. Streams of the swarm flowed toward the human ships, testing their shields and weapons. The Indomitable stood firm, its hull glowing with the light of constant bombardment. Time was running out. When the counter-signal was finally deployed, it swept through the station like a wave. The Nanoplague froze once more, its particles vibrating in unison as the signal resonated through their collective intelligence. The tendrils withdrew, retreating toward the vault at the station's core. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then the swarm began to change. The black fog shimmered, its particles rearranging themselves into new forms. The destructive, mindless hunger was gone, replaced by a slow, deliberate process of reconstruction. The Nanoplague wasn't consuming anymore, it was building. Within the vault, the swarm formed intricate structures, weaving together threads of energy and matter. The station's systems flared back to life, their fractured components repaired by the very entity that had threatened to destroy them. The failsafe had worked. The fleet watched in awe as the station transformed, its ancient architecture restored to its former glory. The Nanoplague, now guided by its original programming, became a tool of creation once more. Humanity had turned a weapon of extinction into a force for renewal. The crisis had been averted, but the lesson was clear. The Zevra's legacy was a reminder of both the potential and the peril of wielding power beyond one's understanding. Humanity had survived the challenge, but they knew the galaxy would never forget the day the Deathworlders tamed the swarm. The station's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Where chaos and decay had once ruled, order now emerged. The Nanoplague, once a monstrous swarm of consumption, had been subdued and reprogrammed. Its particles shimmered like a star-filled nebula as they flowed through the station, repairing ancient conduits and restoring dormant systems. What had begun as an unstoppable threat to the galaxy now worked with precision and purpose, reshaping the derelict into something extraordinary. Humanity's unified fleet held its position around the station, their weapons still primed but silent. The sight of the reanimated structure filled the crew with a mix of awe and relief. The Deathworlders had succeeded where the Vakar and countless others had failed. They had not only survived the ancient station's dangers but also unlocked its potential. The true purpose of the station revealed itself as the Nanoplague completed its repairs. Massive spires extended from the station's core, aligning in a pattern that seemed to resonate with the energy of the surrounding star system. The entire structure began to glow with a soft, radiant light, powered by an energy source that defied comprehension. Scans indicated that the station was no mere research outpost or defensive stronghold, it was a seed. A Genesis engine capable of transforming entire star systems. The Zevra, in their brilliance, had designed the station to terraform barren worlds, turning lifeless rocks into verdant paradises teeming with life. The Nanoplague had been their tool to achieve this, capable of breaking down raw matter and reconstructing it into ecosystems. But the Zevra's creation had come at a cost. The records found within the station's newly restored archives revealed a sobering truth. The Zevra had perished, not because of external threats, but because their own ambition had outpaced their wisdom. The Nanoplague had spiraled out of control, consuming their worlds faster than they could contain it. In desperation, they had sealed the station, encoding the failsafe as their final hope. Humanity now stood at a crossroads. The station, fully operational, represented unparalleled power. With its Genesis engine, barren worlds could be transformed into lush colonies. The Nanoplague, properly controlled, could rebuild civilizations, but the temptation to misuse such power loomed large. The Zevra's fate was a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most advanced species could fall to their own hubris. The unified fleet made its decision with characteristic resolve. The station would not be dismantled or exploited. Instead, it would be preserved as a testament to the Zevra and a reminder of the delicate balance between creation and destruction. Humanity programmed the station's systems to enter a dormant state, activating only when a barren world was selected for terraforming. Strict protocols were established to prevent the Nanoplague from ever becoming a threat again. As the fleet prepared to depart, a final surprise awaited them. The station emitted a new signal, one that resonated across the galaxy. It was not an SOS or a warning, but an invitation. The Zevra's message was clear. Their legacy was not one of destruction but of renewal. They had left behind the means for other species to continue their work, to heal the wounds of a fractured galaxy. The signal carried a map, highlighting other derelict stations scattered across distant star systems. Each one, like the station above Tarvos 9, held the potential for both incredible creation and devastating destruction. Humanity realized they were not just stewards of this station, they were guardians of a larger legacy. The unified fleet left the Tarvix sector with renewed purpose. They had proven that even the most dangerous threats could be overcome with ingenuity, adaptability, and unity. The galaxy had witnessed the power of the Deathworlders, not as conquerors, but as saviors who could navigate the delicate balance between destruction and creation. As the fleet disappeared into the void, the station stood silent once more, its spires gleaming faintly in the starlight. The legacy of the Zevra and the actions of humanity would echo across the galaxy for millennia to come. Thanks for joining us on this thrilling journey into the unknown. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Starlight Sci-Fi. Until next time, keep exploring the stars, and may your imagination always soar.